Hello there, everyone. Welcome to episode 87 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Tyler. I am your host this week, and I'm joined, of course, by the man himself, Tyler, over here from Good Game We Lost. How are you doing this week? It's a bit of a cold week. I hope you're staying warm, staying toasty, staying comfy.
Yeah, we got a cold front here. It's no, we already did all of our grocery shopping. My girlfriend has this thing where she's like, I don't want to go out in the cold, but also neither of us are from the cold. I'm like a little more like, yeah, I can drive in the cold. It's fine. But
I'd love to drive in the cold.
We're good. Huh?
See, I wouldn't mind driving in the cold. It's the having to walk in the cold and everything is just like anything after below 40, but from 40 to 30, it's like bearable, but I'm like, I don't really want to be out in it. But any lower than 30, I'm like, nah, this is cold. This is cold. I don't like the cold. I'm a winter baby, but I still don't care for the cold. So this past week and like the upcoming weeks and all, it's not going to be pleasant for me here in New York. I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, I think, it's funny. I hate being hot, but at the same time, living in colder areas, now I'm just like, well, I don't like this either. So at the end of the day, you know what? I like whatever. I guess I'm fine with a little bit of heat because I guess I prefer being in AC with heat over being in heat with cold, I guess is what it's funny though, because it's a little bit of sidetrack, but it's fine. This episode's gonna be shorter. We just got done talking about Elden Ring, Bloodborne, and I said like I love Bloodborne because it's my ethos. It's all gas, no brakes, offense, no defense. And I feel like that's what heat is as well. That's what hot versus cold. Like the cold is you're tough, you're gritty, and it's like that's even in sports. Like all the cold teams, like the Buffalo Bills in their previous iterations, the Steelers, we play defense, we're tough, and every single team, like when they're in California or the Miami Dolphins or whatever, they're just like, yeah, we fucking score points. That's what we do. And it's like that's also who I am in sports. So I'm just like, you know what? I guess it's fitting that I like the heat, man. I don't actually like the heat, but that's where I like living. I've always wanted, like Game of Thrones, always wanted to be a Stark. Obviously it's weird to say you're a Lannister. I'm not a Lannister, but I'm definitely not a Stark. I probably am Martell. Yeah, I'm Oberyn. Like, Oberyn was my favorite character. Like, yeah, we like enjoying life. We're not miserable. So growing old is just accepting who you really are. So it's like, you know what? It's fine.
That was such a, what's the word? Like, I've been blinking on the word, but just like getting old is enjoying life. Like, oh man, we never would have expected just like such deep thought from the Play to Win podcast on that deep metaphorical, psychological, just thought like that from the Play to Win podcast.
Start off firing.
Exactly. I mean, that's what you're going to get on an episode like this. Like you said, it's going to be a bit of a cold episode, but we do have a bit of heat here and there sprinkled throughout. Before we get into this episode, of course, subscribe if you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell, leave us likes, comments, and shares. It's all greatly appreciated. And if you're on podcast services, also subscribe there. 5-star review, very much appreciated, very helpful. All that said, though, as Tyler hinted, it's going to be a bit of a lighter episode. It'll probably end up being a shorter episode than normal because this week there really wasn't much major news. And, we're kind of winding down the year. Games industry is kind of all going on vacation now and everything like that. So there was some news stories. Most of them are like essentially brief mention type stories with not much to like really dig into. Some of them have a bit to talk about, but really not much. So with all the news, we'll probably get through it pretty quickly. And then after that, we're going to be talking about, some of what we've been playing this week. The Forspoken demo I played the Thirsty Suitors demo. Tyler was playing a bit of Callisto Protocol and also some High on Life as well. So we'll talk about, what we've been playing some as well. And then we'll kind of also just share some holiday gaming memories that we have. It's the holiday season. This episode is going up nearly a week before, Christmas and everything, if you celebrate Christmas. But, it's holiday season and just have me thinking, what are some holiday gaming related memories that we have? So we'll talk about that a bit as well. It should be a fun episode. Should be a light one. It'll be, good vibes all around, really.
Yeah. And because this is so early in, I'm going to add, if you're a first time listener or if you've listened 100 times, obviously it's episode 86, but if you're a long time listener or you're a first time listener, if you prefer shorter episodes, let us know. So that way we can take that into it. Yeah, like because like our episodes can be long. I mean, it's not just me. Like your and Kieran's episodes could ran pretty long a lot of times as well. But
Yeah.
if you're like I'm more likely to listen all the way through with shorter episodes, let us know so that way we can factor it. Give us some feedback.
Yeah, and him and I definitely we tried to make the episodes shorter because there was a period where like the episodes were pushing 2 hours or like over 2 hours for a period, and we were like, all right, like we always tried to like keep it shorter, but it just never worked out. And then we really kind of got it like hour 45 was kind of like ended up being a sweet spot of sorts in terms of just like comfortable length for us talking about things without rushing. But the goal is really always hour 30. Bit of behind the scenes inside baseball type stuff here for you all.
You two are very thorough. And what I
Yes.
lack in thoroughness, I'm also just like, we're going off topic. We're going off the rails a little bit.
Right. And it's fun that you do. And I always let you go off and I try to bring it back, but I also like go along for the ride with you as well on the off the rails. So like it's a balance. It's a balance. Like you said, he's more thorough. Well, him and I were a bit more thorough and in depth and all, but you and I, we still get like thorough and in depth as well. Maybe not to the same degree, but we still do in our own
Yeah,
way and
like we're
everything.
gonna talk about the game, but I'm also gonna bring in three different analogies.
Exactly. And then you'll also bring up how horny is a game, and then we're just off the rails
Yeah,
entirely.
it's funny. I had completely forgot about it, and then when you talked about High in Life, I was like, oh, yep, we got to review it on the horny scale.
Oh
No
man, and
surprise, much hornier than Callisto Protocol. Just a little
not
teaser there.
not a surprise at all. Let's get into this. Let's start talking about some of the news that has come out over the past couple weeks. Some of these are bigger than others, and I just like didn't want to just like let them go by without mentioning them, even though they're a bit weeks old. But let's start off with some game sale numbers. First up, God of War Ragnarok is the fastest selling PlayStation Studios release, selling 5.1 million copies in its first week. Congrats to Sony Santa Monica, the whole team over there. Killed it. Absolutely deserved such a big number like that. It's not a surprise it ended up being this big, and I imagine Spider-Man 2 will way surpass that. But
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, great for them right
I,
there.
Okay, so I have a bit of a take here, and not good necessarily or bad, and it's just that I think that you see both film and video game numbers constantly rise, and it's like okay, it can feel like everything is the fastest selling. We even just said like Spider-Man will probably beat that number, but I think with film, it's not as impressive, right? Because it had more cultural relevancy and a stranglehold on culture at large. Back whenever it was the only thing you could do, and now it's like always adjusted for inflation, where it's nowhere close to Titanic and shit like that. Whereas like video games, these are like genuine they're racking up these stats. They are like legit 5 million people chose to pay $70. Like, or was it? Yeah, it 60 on PS4?
I'm pretty sure it's 60 on PS4, 70 on PlayStation 5.
Either way, 5 million people opted to pay 60 or $70. Like that is impressive. And I think these numbers are not anything to scoff at. Like I'm also not big like video game cheerleader. Yeah. Like, cause like, I don't see a penny of that, but I'm just saying like, it is genuinely kind of nuts. The cultural relevancy video games have more than ever. And even if God of War Ragnarok doesn't feel like a cultural moment the same way, like I always point to Halo 3, at the same time, it's doing numbers that are surpassing, I believe, Halo 3. Like, every Call of Duty outdoes itself. And it's just, I think because the water is rising and we're the crabs and it's just, we're used to it. But it's like, that doesn't mean the water's not rising. Like video games are more and more relevant as a whole. These numbers are going to reflect it. And it's just kind of like generally impressive. Whereas it's funny that film is the opposite. Like, I think we can just safely say every time it's like new record, nobody cares. Like, it's not really,
Yeah, and funny you say that actually, because I forgot to put this in the doc here. But Jeff Keighley the other day he announced the viewership numbers for the Game Awards this year, and it was like I'm pulling a number out of my head. I don't remember exactly, but it was like 103 million viewers worldwide.
I had seen that. It was definitely over 100. Yeah,
it was like a 20% increase over last year's, and last year was like 80 something million viewers. And then I believe if it wasn't Gene Park, it was someone else on Twitter that quote tweeted that and was like, yeah, like we keep like if it wasn't clear, like gaming is huge. Like on Washington Post, Game Awards coverage like is the number one coverage that day. It beats all the other coverage that they have. And like he also brought in like Oscars viewer numbers and Emmy viewer numbers and Grammy viewer numbers in comparison to the Game Awards viewer numbers. And like they're just like a drop in the coin. No, like they're dropping a bucket compared to the Game Awards viewership numbers. So like it's wild. Just, again, just how big the industry has just become and grown over the years. So it's not a surprise that you have all these other different companies trying to jump on into the games industry and get a piece of that pie in one way, shape, or form, whether it be film, TV, publishing their own games, making their own studios, so on and so forth. It just makes so much sense, which we'll talk about that a bit later as well. With a few stories we have. Sticking to sales numbers, though, if you thought God of War Ragnarok selling 5.1 million copies in its first week was big, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies in 3 days, making it the biggest launch for both the series and Nintendo. So, like, as we all said, and we all know, Pokemon will sell and make money no matter what they do. No matter what they do, the game will make money. The series is just a gangbuster.
Yeah.
Good for the game, good for the team, but wow.
Be mad at the performance all you want. And like,
yeah,
Nintendo won. Like, they don't care, man. Taking it to the bank.
Yeah, they never do. And last game here, Sonic Frontiers has sold more than 2.5 million copies since its launch. And I believe that launched, the day before Ragnarok? So expected that its sales would be like less than, like where it is right here, but still like that's big for the Sonic franchise. And it's also, I expected it to sell big because, it's a brand new 3D open world, 3D Sonic, and it's doing something brand new for the series, for the franchise. So it was always going to do good numbers for the series. So happy to see all these different games and teams just thriving in the ways that they are. It's great to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Sonic's a little surprising, I feel like, for me, but then it's like I have to remember, oh yeah, it's Sonic. He's one of the biggest icons there is. Like, so it's just weird though. Like the fact that they're not good always kind of distorts how you think about it. If you think about games like really in depth, where it's like the actual take is just zoom out and go, oh yeah, Sonic's fucking huge. Of course he sells 2.5 million without trying.
Right. Before we continue, I just also want to say apologies if I sound weird. My throat is a bit weird right now. So that might be why I sound, I don't know, I guess a bit scratchy, raspy, whatever the case may be. I sound a bit off. Apologies. That's why. Other than that, I'm fine though. Let's continue the news though. PSVR 2, we got a couple more updates on games that will be released at launch after the fall. That's a PSVR 2 launch title. Dark Pictures Switchback VR is also a launch title. Moss and Moss Book 2 will be there at launch. Then there are 5 Japanese-made launch titles for PSVR 2. I didn't write them down, but I'm going to go to the article I have linked here from IGN by Ryan Dinsdale. The 5 games are, let me scroll on down. Oh, okay, so they just don't make it easy to figure it out. I'm just going to go right to the PlayStation blog because they have it in more clear fashion. Fantavision 202X, that'll be there day 1. Altair Breaker will be there day 1. The Tale of Onagoro, day 1. Kizuna AI Touch the Beat, and Dyschronia Chronos Alternate will be there day 1. I love these titles. Like the actual name of them. I like those names. Those are interesting names.
Yeah. And then you forgot to read the part of the blurb where Sony said this is in response to Tyler's scathing statement about how he will not be buying a VR too.
You say, yeah, you were talking all that stuff. All right, here's some more games. All right, don't worry.
And to that, I say, Sony, still unimpressed. Give me Astrobot sequel or even just a remake of the other one or like, whatever. Just throw it on PSVR 2 or I'm not impressed.
It's got to happen. I mean, Moss and Moss Book 2 are coming. It's got to happen. It's almost, I would bet money that someone somewhere over there is trying to make that happen because it's just too much of a moneymaker.
Here's our 2 mid-ass hamster games, but we're not going to give you the generational.
Wait. What? You called Boss and Boss Book 2 mid-hamster games?
Yes, that's, you know what? Listen, I don't actually have any kind of beef with Moss, but I'm very upset that the far superior Astrobot is not just getting the same treatment. So until further notice, they're mid-ass hamster games.
Oh, God. Whew, you got my throat going crazy right now. Wow. And last PSVR 2 update here. The VR mode for Resident Evil Village will be a free update for owners of the game on February 22nd. So you'll be able to jump in and see Lady D in person in all her 9-foot tall vampire dominatrix glory on February 22nd. And have her literally step on you if you want. All right. Monster Hunter Rise That's a big game. You know, it was on the Switch originally, came to PC. It is now also coming to PlayStation and Xbox. It'll be Game Pass day one on Xbox as well on January 20th. I'm not really into Monster Hunter, but I saw this and I was like, maybe I'll play it. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing it.
It's sweet. It's funny because I was literally cutting up the clips for last week's episode last night, just like spreading them out. And I have that take where I'm just like, you are never going to play these. You are lying to yourself. And this is the same thing, but this will do numbers. Like other
For
people
sure.
will actually play this. We'll see like this insane, like how many people have played it, and I'll still have never met a person to ever play Monster.
Yeah, it's gonna do great numbers, especially being Game Pass day one. Like that's awesome, and
Yeah.
that's yet another great move. Getting that game on Game Pass for like the Xbox audience and expanding them in like expanding the Japanese audience on Xbox, like putting Monster Hunter Rise on Game Pass. Smart move right there. Smart move. The Witcher remake, CDPR has confirmed will be open world. The original was not. That's great. I imagine many people kind of figured it would be open world anyway, considering they're just doing this grand remake for it. It just makes sense to have it be open world, but it's cool that it is. I'll play it when it comes out. Maybe I still don't even know if I'm going to play the Witcher 3 next gen update that just came out, because again I'm like,
I probably should, because I keep starting and stopping now that it's like remade. I should just play it. Yeah, the only thing I have to say about this though is like part of me is like, oh, it's smart. The other part of me is like, no, you had to do this, because like a lot of people who loved The Witcher 3 and didn't play the other two would have just been like pieced the fuck out and been mad about spending $60 had it not been open world. Not saying they deserve it, that you're entitled to, but like at the same time, just realistically, that fan base probably expects a specific type of game at this point now.
Yeah, I can see the headlines right now. Like The Witcher remake not being open world was a giant missed opportunity. Like, why
Yeah,
not
and
expand
then
on the original game in like all these different ways? Like I can see the headlines right now, and they'd be totally valid arguments too.
and then at the same time, you can also see like them before the game releases going, it's kind of open world, and then it's like not at all open world, and then it's just like, so they're getting ahead of it. They're just doing the obvious thing of being like, yeah, it's for sure open world, which I'm sure with how ambitious they seem to be as far as expanding, I may disagree with the gameplay and like the ambition of the story, but as far as actually like expanding the world, that's something they are very ambitious about. So it makes sense that their vision probably wasn't as limited as Witcher 1 was.
Yeah. Jeff Keighley, he also confirmed Summer Game Fest will return on June 8th with a live show. It's not going to be digital only anymore. It's going to be live in-person show. Again, Karen and I talked about this when E3 announced that they were going to be back next year in person and stuff. And we were like, I wonder what that means for Jeff Keighley and Summer Games Fest. Like, I imagine he would still do it, but how is he going to go about it? Since, he'll, like, yes, he's cool with I don't want to say ESA anymore, but like he's cool with, the people running the E3 this year, but like now he's directly competing with them in like more direct one-on-one fashion. So like, how is that going to shake out and everything? And I'm going to be really, really curious to see, like this is the first year that E3 is trying new things with Read Pop. And, this is like a growing test period of sorts for them, and everything they're saying sounds good so far. But I am curious, when it all is said and done, which people will have preferred more between the two next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Keeley's event will probably be better at this, or not be better, but like do more numbers, I would assume at this point, because he seems to have the infrastructure kind of nailed. But who knows? It's also, well, no, I mean, like the winter ones, the Game Awards were live as well. So I assume it's just kind of like, it's bigger, obviously. It's like, in LA. Well, this obviously the Game Awards were too, but it's in LA in the summer when it's like it appears busier. But I don't know. I'm not from LA, so maybe I sound like a dumbass. But I just assume that like there's a little bit more going. Well, also he'll have E3 as competition, so there is kind of inherently now just more traffic and whatnot. But Jeff, shooting my shot here. I invite us, or invite me at least.
Please. What do you mean at least you? What do you mean at least you?
Well, to be fair, I will be in Arizona at that point in time. So I'll literally be like a 6-hour drive away.
Yeah. Counterpoint. I am in New York, and financially it would help me more if you invited me too, Jeff. So like, Help me out
Only
here.
financially would help you more.
The plane ticket, the hotel ticket. If you could at least
Oh, I'm
finance
saying he
one of
doesn't
them.
have to pay for anything. I'm saying I'll just, as far as that goes, just give me the press pass and 100%. I'll just drive out there.
Yeah, if you give me a press pass, I feel like I find a way to make it work. I'd be like, all right, well, what do I got to do? What do I got to do?
I've always wanted to go to E3, and so now it's just okay. This is clearly the new thing. Let me just go to that instead.
Right. Tyler, you might be interested in this one a bit more. The QA workers at Blizzard Albany have formed a second union under Activision Blizzard called the Game Workers Alliance Albany. Uh, good for the workers over there at Blizzard and Activision. Just standing up for themselves, forming their unions and everything like that. I'm happy to see that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like although the Activision Blizzard like allegations and everything that came out was god awful, although it was terrible, I'm happy to see that like it was such a turning point for the industry in terms of workers' rights and so on and so forth. Like I was like in that time we did an episode titled like, is this the start of like change across the industry? And like
Hopefully.
and I was like, I hope it is, and I think it will be. And so far, it's seeming like, yep, this has been the start of change. We're seeing all these unions form at Blizzard, at other companies as well. It's great to see it happening, even if Activision Blizzard itself is like, no, we don't want it to happen. The fact that the
Yeah.
employees are still sticking to their guns, standing up for their own rights and everything, that's great to see and hear.
Hell yeah. Pro union, baby.
Pro union as always, anti corpo. Ah,
Yeah.
man. Hogwarts Legacy, that's been delayed to April 4th for PS4 and Xbox One, and it's coming on July 25th for Switch. Originally, all the versions were set to release on February 10th, so this delay, a bit of like a month, like just under 2 months for PS4 and Xbox One, a bit longer for Switch. They just say that they just want to get the games and the state that they should be in for those players on those consoles. I hope to God they don't run awfully.
I'll be 100% honest with you here. You could have lied to me about it being on Switch, and I would have completely believed you because I did not know this game was releasing on Switch. I assumed it was not going to. It's kind of wild
Yeah.
that it will be. I assume it'll run incredibly poor, and it'll probably be one of those. Although, if it's one of the streaming versions, I don't know if it's confirmed or not.
I don't believe it is. I'm pretty sure it's a hard copy.
I feel like the streaming ones run a little bit better than the hard copies.
Right. It depends on, I guess, the game and like the cloud streaming service that's being used for it at all. But yeah, I mean, everyone was surprised too when like platforms were announced and then they saw Switch on there online. They were like, wait, is this coming to Switch or is this just like someone's mock-up? And like, no, it's coming to Switch. Just like, how, Sway? How?
I'm not playing this game. I don't know what your whole thing is, but if you're a Harry Potter weirdo, earmuffs, fuck J.K. Rowling. Just generally do not care for her. And like, listen, I get that the studio's not there, but also just like, Harry Potter's not my thing on top of that. So it's an easy decision for me. There's no real moral wrangling of just like, I don't know. Harry Potter nerds are always just way too much for me. They're way too extra. And also like now the game's like, it's been kind of hilarious seeing the whole phrasing of like, you can kill people. And it's just like, is this a game about like kids in school? It's wild. And it's never been an easier decision for me to be like, I'm not playing that or covering that in any manner on my channel. So
yeah, I know Kieran and I kind of talked about it as well. And I think he said that he was gonna get it because I think he wanted to play it, but also his sister is like a giant Harry Potter fan, so he was just like, she would also make me get it. I know I am gonna get it. I'm gonna get it for my girlfriend as well. I wanted to get her a PS5 before this game came out, but that's just not gonna be able to happen. So that's why I'm hoping the PS4 version runs fine. She has a PS4, but no, like I'm also like completely against everything J.K. Rowling has been doing lately and saying and stuff like that. But I know that like there's that. I guess you could say that back and forth of by playing the game, like can you separate artists from art in regards to this game and all like that? And I mean wider discussion as well. But for me with this, I'm like, just in my opinion, personally, I don't believe that if you are excited for this game or let's say anything, any product, right? Any media, IP, whatever the case may be, if you're excited for something that's coming out for it, but like the original creator like sucks and is a terrible person, but you still want to play that thing, I don't think that makes you a bad person, so long as you know, acknowledge that the person is not a great person. And, you know, so long as you like aren't like aligning yourself with their beliefs or anything like that. That's kind of my take on it. I think it's a bit
Yeah,
too. I think it's a bit too black and white to be like, if you play this game, you're a horrible person. I feel like that's just
yeah.
like I can understand why people might feel that way, especially if you are in the trans community. I can understand that entirely. But I just me personally, not trans, cis black guy here. I feel like it's a bit extreme to just paint such a broad brush over people that are excited for this and want to play it.
Yeah, I this is definitely, and to be clear, that mine was not like you suck if you're excited for this. But I will say this, as far as art, can you like separate the art from artists? Like, I think it all depends. Like, I think context is always needed, right?
Of course.
I think so like my go-to example, right? I don't eat Chick-fil-A. And listen,
Yeah.
I know like there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. But that being said, if someone is going out of their way to aggressively be an asshole, that's my sign to just do the easy thing and not support it. Right.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk aggressively sucks more than every other billionaire because he goes out of his way to make us hate him. Fuck that guy. I'm not going to support him. Same with Kanye West. Like, yeah, there are bad people out there and maybe we don't know and maybe they're good at hiding it. And like ultimately we're all part of the system and it sucks. But when someone is just like blinking red, flashing lights, like if you can't just at that point, just like take the easy dunk, the easy layup and just say like, yeah, I'm just not going to support this. That's my general rule of thumb is it's like, yeah, we all, if you're poor, you have to go to Walmart. Like we all know the Waltons are awful, but like they're not out there saying things every single day. They're not Chick-fil-A just like aggressively being like no Sunday and, you know, saying all these awful things and supporting all these awful causes. Like the Waltons are like smart billionaires, just kind of shut up and stay out of the limelight. So like, yeah, if you're like not only an evil billionaire, but like, I'm going to go out of my way to just be awful. Yeah, I'm not supporting you.
That's totally valid. I completely understand that perspective, and I feel that way about certain things as well. As you said, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I guess, context, that everyone just has to make their own personal decision on, you know, what they want to do in the matter. And I feel like that's really just, you know, about it. Really, just make your own decision.
And ultimately, what I'm here to establish to everyone is that Harry Potter sucks anyways.
I don't agree on that level. But
so
be
mad at me for
opinion.
that, nerds. All right.
I respect your opinion, but I disagree with you on that. You know, we can both
switching to something that rips.
Right.
Marvel Spider-Man 2, baby. Let's go.
It is confirmed to be releasing in fall 2023. Very, very, very excited about this. And I mean, we don't know anything more than that. At this point, it was assumed the game, if it's still coming out next year, it's going to be a fall game, like maybe late summer or at the earliest. But it was assumed it'd be a fall game at this point, since we haven't seen or heard anything from it since it was first announced. I'm hyped though. PS5 is going to be the best selling console next year because of this. This will probably be the best selling. Well, no, Call of Duty will no. There's no new Call of Duty next year, so this will be the best selling new game release next year, almost certainly, unless a new Pokemon comes out.
I think it's funny we have to put like bumpers on for like certain types of games because we're like, well, it's never going to be Call of Duty. But
right. It's like, actually, hold on. Call of Duty, that is a thing that exists. I forgot.
You don't count Call of Duty. We know. Shut up. You just.
But yeah, very exciting. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably didn't think this was coming. And like this in 2023. I think some people were like, it's so far out. And those people, I say, never underestimate Insomniac, because man, do those people crank out games at an insane velocity with insane quality.
Exactly.
It's just what they do.
Slightly related. Spider-Verse into the Across the Spider-Verse. Man.
Did you see that Insomniac Spider-Man is in it?
Yeah, he's in it. That movie was awesome. Like that trailer really hit me in my feels, like the first half of it, even though a lot of it was just like back, like seeing clips from the first movie and all like that. Like just Miles's the conversation he was having with the mom, what she was saying to him, it hit me. I was just like, oh my God, yes. And then just the insanity of all these different spider people. It's like, that's going to be a movie. IMAX day one. If it's 3D, I'll get the 3D version. I'm like injecting that directly into my eyes and veins. the day that comes out.
Yeah, I love Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse was awesome. I'm sure I'll love Across the Spider-Verse. The trailer looked sick. A quick question: do you like Spider-Man like the same, or do you like him more, or do you think you would have liked him the same no matter what? Being from New York, living in New York, being a New Yorker, does that like does it rile up some of that like regional pride, or is it just like that tribalism, or is it just like I would like Spider-Man the same no matter what?
No, that's a good question because Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero. Like when I was a kid, I don't remember how old I was, but I had a Spider-Man birthday party. I must have been like 5 or 6, I think, maybe 7 years old. Had a Spider-Man themed birthday party, Spider-Man plates, napkins, gift bags, all that stuff. So he's always been my favorite superhero. And like I remember, they still make them to this day, the goofy glove web shooters where like you put the glove on and it has like the foam thing attached to it. You spray it to shoot out a fake web or whatnot. Like I had those and I would like pretend that I was Spider-Man swinging around the house and everything. I would just use it with string as well. Like use string as pretend like I was Spider-Man swinging around and stuff. Try to jump off my bed and pretend I could swing it and everything. I was a bit crazy. But it's a good question. I don't know if like when I was younger, if the New York part of it really resonated or stuck with me as like, oh my gosh, he's in New York. Maybe with the first Spider-Man
as an adult,
as an adult, like as a teenager / adult, it's definitely something that I'm like that's a superhero in my backyard and stuff like that. Like I walk those streets that he swings on like on a regular basis and everything. I know those areas that he goes to and stuff like that. Especially like playing the games, like just swinging the streets and all. And it's like, of course, it's as close to like realistic as possible. Like scale is nowhere near the same for some of the places and stuff, but it's like, man, they could say, oh yeah, this place is over at this museum on the east side, and I'm like, I know exactly how to get there. I know exactly where to go, how to get there, what street I need to go up to reach that place. So yeah, as an adult, I feel that regional pride. As a kid, I'm not sure if I did. I think I was just like, yo, Spider-Man's dope.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was more saying as an adult, not as a kid, but interesting that you went there. Yeah. Batman was mine, then Spider-Man swapped back. Because it was like, as a kid, Batman, and to be fair, Batman's aesthetic still top tier. Like it's just
for sure.
Black is cool. Bats are also cool. But and Batmobiles are sick. But as I got older, I was like, yo, Batman kind of sucks. Like as far as just I like just his whole ethos is a little more like rich guy cosplaying than like Spider-Man being for the people by the people. So it was one of those things where I feel like I latched on to Spider-Man just before MCU and everything because I loved Raimi Spider-Mans, and it was just like kind of those. It's probably mid Garfield when Spider-Man wasn't doing numbers the way he was, but it was still just like that was the moment for me. And then now Spider-Man's more popular than ever.
Yeah, he's the best. He is the GOAT for sure. Yeah, I don't know who my second favorite would be. I still got to watch the Batman though. I haven't seen it yet.
As an adult though, Batman Beyond does rip because Terry, poor kid, like Terry's awesome, and also they took the suit and made it even sicker, man. Like,
Batman Beyond is dope. I wish it'd be awesome to get a Batman Beyond movie. Like where's the Batman Beyond movie, the Batman Beyond game? Like it is an area that is ripe for exploration and would freshen up Batman in so many ways for the general public, but it just hasn't been done yet for some unknown reason.
Yeah,
I don't
know. That's my dream. Like if you had to answer your question, you're like, okay, someone comes up to you, they're like, you have the opportunity of your lifetime. You can play any superhero you want. You got to get ripped, do the whole regime and go through the whole process. Obviously, that's my answer. Like I'd be Terry McGinnis in a heartbeat. Like just because obviously I got the jet black hair. I'm white, pale ass white. I would shave, get ripped in a heartbeat. Just like if I could be Terry McGinnis, that's 100% my answer. I'm curious now. Do you have a superhero where like, yeah, given that opportunity, just like 100% throw everything away. Just like, let me go.
Oh, it's 100% Spider-Man.
Do that.
It's definitely Spider-Man.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I don't know of. There's probably others because like my dream superpower is either flight or teleportation. So like maybe there's some other where like it could fit the bill, but like in my heart of hearts, Spider-Man is the dream superhero, even if he doesn't have like my dream powers. You know what I mean? Who would be your, you're saying, oh man, if I could be, Batman Beyond, like if I could be Terry McGinnis, I'll get ripped and everything. Who would you want to be your Bruce Wayne?
It's a good one. Oh, I hadn't thought of this. Because they need to be older. That's the problem. I'm trying to think of like older, because like obviously there are actors older than me, of course, that are like could fit the bill. I'm not a Keaton guy, so like I'm sorry everyone that's like, oh, it's obviously Keaton. He just wouldn't be mine. I'd look for an older actor that I respect and really like. Now it's like I'm trying to think of someone who's that age range, because I feel like they're all just a little too under the age range.
I have an idea. They haven't been Batman yet. What about Liam Neeson? He hasn't been Batman before, but what would you think of Liam Neeson as your Bruce Wayne?
It's funny because we talked about J.K. Rowling. Like, I'm sorry, Liam Neeson. I can't forgive you for all that shit. You just like it's. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't tell him to go fuck himself if I met him in person, but I also wouldn't want him to be my Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
See, that's the thing. It's like it's got to be that age, right? Because like, Pitt would be cool. Pitt would be sick, but like, especially because like, how would he interpret Bruce Wayne? But I'm like, I just don't think he's old enough. Like, I think we need someone just a little bit older.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then it's like all the old man actors I think of are a little more older and not in probably good enough shape. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or just like they're more comedic. I think of like Henry Winkler is awesome, but I wouldn't want Henry as Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's funny because Keaton is perfect in that sense, I think.
Yeah.
Just had that clean break, and literally during it, I thought of my answer. I have it 100% locked. I don't think you would guess it in a million years.
Okay,
who's he would be so good as Bruce Wayne.
Who?
As the older one.
Yeah.
Bryan fucking Cranston, baby.
Ooh.
Yeah. That he would be great as older Bruce.
I can see it. Ooh, start the fan.
Because we play up the like good parts of Walt. Like we just get that intense performance. Like, oh, it'd be so good.
Start the fan cast. Start the fan cast right now. Let's get it going. Bryan Cranston as Bruce Wayne. I don't know what the hashtag will be, but we'll make up a creative hashtag. Get it going.
100%.
That was a fun tangent. Went from Spider-Man to Batman and fan casting Batman Beyond.
In lieu of me, I'm also willing to submit. I think Timothy Chalamet would be fun as McGinnis.
Okay, I can see it.
If there's like a spunkier actor I'm missing, that's possible. But that's just my go-to pale white guy with dark hair, great actor.
Yeah, you don't want Tom Holland to do it? No, you don't want Tom Holland?
No. I love Holland. I think he's a great Parker. Think an actual hot take better Parker than Maguire or Garfield. Although I think Maguire's also third in those rankings, and all the millennials would be mad at me. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I grew up with it too. That doesn't make him a objectively better actor.
Oh man, the fun tangent. Let's keep this train moving though.
Gorilla. We got some brief news to talk about.
Yeah. So Horizon. Let's talk about that. Gorilla has finally confirmed that a multiplayer Horizon game is in the works, amongst other projects. They confirmed this by posting a job listing on Twitter with a bunch of different roles and stuff. What they said about the multiplayer game is, quote, it's featuring a new cast of characters and a unique stylized look. Friends will be able to explore the majestic wilds of Horizon together, end quote. I am curious what they mean by a unique stylized look. Because Horizon already very visually stunning game. So I wonder by unique stylized look, are we going more like cell shaded? Are we getting like a bit less super realistic like the main Horizon games are? Like, what type of stylized look are you going for?
Yeah, I don't even know. I already don't like it.
Really? You don't like the idea? Well, what don't you like? The multiplayer part or the stylized look part?
All of it. Thinking that Horizon is some like, I really like the world of Horizon 1, but man, they're like investing a lot into this, thinking that it's like this is the answer. And I'm just like, is it though, guys? Like, I don't know.
You sure about that one, fam?
And it's weird because like when I wrote up my whole script for this video essay I wanted to do about Horizon 1, like, man, I've been rooting for that game since it was just like leaks on which not Reset Era, the one before that, NeoGAF? But NeoGAF. But since it was leaks on NeoGAF of like just sweet robot dinosaurs, and I was just like, I'm so in. And I've been rooting for that game, but like just proof, like concept and the idea of something versus execution, it's just been like, it just fell a little flat for me. And man, just like, so I think it's just baffling seeing Sony and it's not like Horizon set the world on fire, even to the degree of Ragnarok or anything, and yet they're diving in, man. So it's interesting to see. I'm not like I'm not mad at them for trying it, but I just feel like it could be a flop, and so we'll see, man. Like they're going all in. It seems like on that IP specifically. Like, of course, there's going to be more Horizon games, but to just like expand the world so much while there's also another mainline game seems a little ballsy. But
Yeah, I mean, like I've always said from day one, from the first game, that like it is ripe for like a multiplayer, like Monster Hunter style type of game of sorts. Like the idea is the blueprint is right there in front of you. Like it just makes sense to do something like that. But like you, I've also been surprised at like at how hard they've been going all in on the IP with the VR game, with the TV series that's happening now. It's just like, man, y'all are going all in, and that's I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It is ballsy and it is risky. Um, but and it also does make me wonder, like, when are we going to see something new from Gorilla that's not Horizon again? Not
to
say
be clear,
I don't like Horizon and don't want it to continue, but at this point, by the time the third Horizon game comes out, like that'll be what, another 2-3 years from now, and then Horizon would have been going on for almost a decade, and without
yeah.
any new IP from Gorilla. So I'm just curious, like, I wonder when we're going to see something new from them.
To be clear, I think the TV show makes more sense than this, mostly because it just feels like that's the way you kind of expand the world a little bit, and gain a bigger audience. And it's like investing in getting people to come back and play the game. But also, man, those dinosaurs got to be expensive to animate, like, because
For
you can't
sure.
half-ass this. But maybe they will. I don't know. But I would think to get people to like want to come back and play the game, you'd have to like make it look cool.
Yeah.
But something that would be a lot easier to make look cool. It's ironic. I was thinking like, yeah, Death Stranding, right? And then that leads right into our.
Yep. Real quick, there are more single player projects with Aloy happening. Gorilla did confirm that it's not just multiplayer stuff going forward.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think we all knew that though.
yeah, that was already, so we already knew Horizon 3 is coming. I just wonder if there's going to be more with Aloy past Horizon 3. But no, yeah, Death Stranding now. Talking about, like we said earlier, other companies trying to like just get into the game space. That's happening here, and Hideo Kojima is also finally fulfilling his life's dream of being able to make a movie. Because according to Deadline, he is producing a Death Stranding movie alongside Hammerstone Studios, which put out Barbarian, which is on HBO Max horror movie. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I still haven't watched it yet.
It's awesome. I love it.
Apparently, this movie will reportedly feature a different plot and characters from the main game. So it's not to say that characters from the main game won't be in it, but they won't be the focus. Here's a quote from the Deadline article saying, quote, we are thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to partner with brilliant and iconic Hideo Kojima on his first film adaptation, added Alex Lebovici, who is who's like producer over there at Hammerstone Studios. Unlike other big budget tentpole video game adaptations, this will be something for more intimate. This will be something far more intimate and grounded. Our goal is to redefine what a video game adaptation could be when you have creative and artistic freedom. The film will be an authentic Hideo Kojima production, end quote. An authentic Hideo Kojima production as a movie. I can only imagine what the heck that means.
And on that day, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes. Listen, if there's anything that's gonna you're gonna get a rise out of me. This is it, baby. You're like, it could just be PR speak. It probably is, but you're speaking my language far more intimate and grounded. Say the words. Like, that's what I want to hear. I don't want, like, I know that's what The Last of Us is doing, but I don't know. They're just telling the same story. They're doing the smart thing. Don't just retell the game. They're going from a different angle, but the same universe. It's like definitely got not just Hideo's blessing, but he's clearly going to be involved, intimate, grounded. And I think like it's not going to have some insane budget to the same level that some other things are, but I think the creative workarounds help. Almost think help that. Like sometimes you're better when you're a little limited, when it's not just go hog wild. So I'm excited. Right. Like, this is one thing I'm reserved excited. Like, it could make a believer out of me, but let's be real, it would just be a believer in Hideo Kojima production movies.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect from this. Like I wouldn't have expected this to be like some big giant blockbuster, because I mean, based on what I know of Death Stranding, that's not what that game is at all. It is a slow, meditative type of experience with like big blockbuster type moments and set pieces in it, but that's not what that game is. So this being something that is more intimate and grounded just sounds like they get what Death Stranding is actually about and how they should actually adapt it for a different medium on top of, different characters, different plot, expanding that world, focusing on different area of that world. So I am curious what this is going to be like. Sidebar, his new studio looks dope. He posted
I haven't
pictures of
seen
it. Yeah, if you go on, like he posted a video, like, hey, it's like the 7th anniversary of the studio, so like there's like showing stuff in it and everything. And yo, his new studio is looking sleek and futuristic. Like, oh wow, it looks like, yes, this is exactly what I would expect a Hideo Kojima studio to look like with money. So
yeah, I also quick sidebar, man, I really got to play Death Stranding. I think I'm gonna like it.
Same.
Like I love deep meditative stuff. Like I love all that kind of stuff. But the only thing I'm like, but I hear that gameplay is a little intentionally clunky, and that's some of the shit I hate. So it's like it's at odds with like the ethos of what I like versus like the actual gameplay and like moment to moment. Will I like it? It'll be an interesting clash in my head and to see where I end up coming out. So
yeah. Crystal Dynamics, they're owned by Embracer Group now, but Amazon Games is supporting and publishing the next Tomb Raider game. This game will be multi-platform, and it's going to continue Laura's story from the last Tomb Raider game. I think this is just, it's interesting. Amazon Games is publishing it, although they're owned by Embracer Group. But it just shows Amazon is really trying to really expand their reach in the games area, in the games industry, with trying to expand their Amazon Games label. So hopefully it turns out well. I can't speak towards the quality of the last 2 games, but hopefully it's good. That's all I really have to say about it.
Not my thing. I think I played 30 minutes of the first remake and I was like, no, it was more than 30 minutes. It's like 2 hours. And I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I played an hour, or I played like 2 hours of the second one. At a time where I just wanted to play something new, something different. And I played 2 hours, meant to go back to it, put it on pause, and never went back to it. So I don't know if I will.
Yeah, I think it might have been free on like PS Plus back on the PS3.
The first one was. Yes, that's how I played it. Mm-hmm. And then the second one.
That's how I played it too.
The second and third have been free on PS Plus as well, which is how I have them.
I think I have them in my library, never touched them.
Amazon, more Amazon stuff here. We got like let's kind of wrap it up with Amazon news, but this one, I don't care a lick about Warhammer, but I am so happy about this. Amazon and Henry Cavill are working on Warhammer 40K shows and movies, and Cavill will star and executive produce these projects. Again, I don't care about Warhammer at all, but as someone who knows Henry Cavill is like a Warhammer mega fan, I'm like, go ahead, fam. Like, you came back as Superman, and then you lost that role, and you left Witcher, and now you're basically getting your dream project here. Go ahead.
Wait,
have at
it. I feel so happy for him. I'm glad he gets to do this. I'm not a Warhammer person either. But it does speak to me, especially if we're talking about fan casting, getting to be McGinnis with Cranston. But also, it's funny because like we're video game people, we're dorks. And the same way that Cavill is referred to, I'm sure, by some people. What do you have like if this is you, what the thing you end up getting to do is? Because I do. I joked about this with one of my friends that really liked movies. And so I had like my dream movie that I would make. And ironically enough, it was semi-video game adaptation-ish.
I don't have one because I've never thought about making movies. Like when I was younger, I wanted to make video games.
I've put a lot of time into thinking about that.
When I was younger, I wanted to make video games, but like I never had an idea of like, oh, what is like that? What's the game I want to make? But like, like I do think it'd be cool to work on like, a Kingdom Hearts games. I love Kingdom Hearts. Like I think that'd be cool to do in some fashion. Maybe that'd be like the dream to work on in some way, shape, or form. But I've never really thought about like a show or a movie in terms of like
this. Yeah, this is like give me the license. Have you seen Mandy?
I know of it, but no, I have not seen it.
Oh man, it helps if you've seen Mandy. So it really renewed like because I like hadn't watched a ton of Nick Cage stuff. Then I watched that and I'm like, holy shit. I love the like raw energy he has, just like how he goes nuts and crazy. And I was like, because like I like world building. I would use as little CGI as possible. We would recreate hell. I would make a Doom movie with Nick Cage as the Doom Slayer. And like we would use that like crazy manic batshitness to just like make it absolutely surreal. We're going metal music video levels of hell. Like we're making it just insane, using as much practical effects as we can. And like, it's just going to be visceral. Like we're going to use just great editing. Like it's just going to feel like an experience. You're going to be like, I feel like I just experienced Doom. I just experienced hell. And that's 100%. And Nick Cage is bringing us along for this Scream ride. So that's my Cavill gets to make Warhammer. You're just like, oh, Tyler got to make the Doom movie with Nick Cage. Good for him.
He finally got to do it. He met the man. He made it happen.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about the angle of like, yeah, we're reclaiming Doom after it got ruined by The Rock.
You know, it's crazy. That was I think that might have been the first video game movie I saw. And I mean, I was young when I saw it. I was like, oh, this was fine. And I was like, oh, the first person sequence, that's cool. I wonder how I feel about it watching it now, all these years later. Just like going back and being like, I don't know if you age all that well, actually. I actually don't know if you were ever good.
Patreon goal. We'll be three deep in beers or whatever, and we'll watch Doom. We'll watch along with the community for Doom.
Oh boy. I want to watch the God of War live action series. It's officially been announced by Amazon after there being a lot of reports and rumors about it. It is confirmed it will be adapting the Norse saga. So, God of War 2018 is what it's going to be focusing on. It is being co-produced by Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions. Wheel of Time, that show, I think that was on Amazon. I believe Rafe Judkins, he worked on that show in some capacity. I forgot what capacity. He's going to be the showrunner of the God of War series and executive producer as well. And Corey Barlog will also be an executive producer on the show, which gives me a lot of hope that this will be faithful, in terms of like not being a butchering of God of War. And I mean, I heard that Wheel of Time was a good show as well. So I'm hoping, I'm like, okay, that this could be good, but at the same time, I go back and forth on whether or not God of War 2018 specifically, if like that saga would be better as a show or a movie, just because of the budget that's going to have to be behind it. And I mean, looking at the budget that they put behind the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon, okay, kind of gives me faith that, okay, they probably could give this show the actual budget it needs. But, I
still don't think it makes it better. I mean, I'm just a broken record at this point. After, I'm sure people are like, oh, you just showed excitement for Death Stranding and you want to make a fucking Doom movie. But yeah, call me a cynic, whatever, or call me hypocritical, whatever. I don't know. I really like God of War. Obviously, even if I'm not, even if I'm not in the majority, being like, oh, 2018 is perfect, still really enjoyed it. And I love Ragnarok, gave it a 9.5, probably my goatee. I don't know, it's that or Elden Ring, but I still just like, I don't think there's an angle here. It's just not interesting to me personally.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the wait and see path of it. I'm like, okay, there could be potential here. Depends on casting and so on and so forth, other things. So we'll see how it turns out. Final brief mention here. This is a pour one out or raise a glass, however you want to look at it. Ash and Pikachu will no longer be the stars of the Pokemon anime series. The current series will wrap up with an arc that hints at Ash's future while closing the door on his story. The next series will be set in the Paldea region from Scarlet and Violet and feature 2 new protagonists. As someone who watched the show a bit when I was a kid, was hardcore into Pokemon as a kid up until Diamond. That was the last one I was hardcore into. Someone who watched the movies as well when I was a kid. I don't remember the last movie I saw, but watched the movies as a kid in theaters. I haven't watched a show in a long time. But I definitely got I felt so good for the kid when he finally became world champion recently. And now to hear that it's like, all right, we're closing the door of his story. I'm just like, man, that's like a part of my childhood that's wrapping up now. It's a bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
Yeah, I can't believe it's taken this long. But no, I mean, obviously I was like every normal kid in North America in 1998 or whatever. And I was flooded with Pokemon mania. God, I remember my, because we'll talk about memories here in a second, but man, I remember my dad couldn't even get tickets to go see the first movie opening night. And I was so salty because I believe they were selling the midnight premiere and everything. And so I knew I'd have to come in
too if you go to
I knew theater. I'd have to come in Friday morning and hear those smug bastards that saw it the night before. And it was just like, no. it was like more about that than having to wait an extra day. It was just, but it was, yeah, and it was just a whole moment. It was amazing seeing that in theaters as a kid, as you know, a 6-year-old or whatever. Because I think that came out in '99, so yeah, I believe I was 6, and yeah, and so it's definitely cool that it's finally ending. But it is like, man, I haven't been invested since I was like, the last one I saw was Pokemon Forever, and
I saw
I
that
tried
one.
to see that in theaters, but it didn't come out. It wasn't in like any theaters. Um, I
Yeah,
think my favorite. I really like Pokemon 3 though.
I don't remember. I don't remember like the quality of it either, but I do know I
He's a
definitely
big
saw
Entei guy.
Forever. Huh? Oh, Entei,
So I'm just
yes.
a big Entei guy. He's rad.
Yeah. Yeah, the movies were good as a kid when I watched them. Detective Pikachu was also a great movie in my opinion, especially as like a video game adaptation.
It
Like
was definitely solid.
all
Yeah.
solid work over here. So yeah, and like I respect their decision to be like, yeah, we could easily just keep Ash's story going because like, moneymaker right here. Like we could easily keep it going even though his main arc is done. But I respect that. Like I think it's ballsy to be like, actually, no, we're gonna be done with him. We're gonna wrap up his story and do someone new. People will be upset and all, but like, no, we're done. We're done with him. I think that takes balls, and I respect that decision 100%.
I mean, does it after like 30 years?
I think so. When your fan base is like so ingrained, and like Ash and Pikachu are like part of like the huge nostalgia and appeal for Pokemon. I think it is a bit ballsy, especially when he's been around for so long. Like
Yeah,
I
but how many
think it
people
is
are
a bit
our age
ballsy.
are watching it now?
I think there's a fair community. There's a fair sized community that's still watching the show and everything like that. The people who
I
grew
feel
up
like it's a
watching
lot
it,
of kids making up the audience, and they'll be fine.
yeah, they'll probably be fine. But I'm still, it's just like, you know what? Good on you. You're deciding, you know what? We're gonna move on to someone else, even though our cash cow right here, we could keep it going, and people would still like love it. That is it for the news, though, which surprisingly went on longer than expected. But again, like I feel like we still have great conversations where we, go on longer than expected.
We got so off the rails there, but it was like, hey man, look what we're working with. I'm sorry. I think it was more entertaining to talk about fan castings here.
Yeah, entirely, exactly. Let's talk about
But
holiday gaming memories, though.
yeah,
It
the news is over, but the nostalgia is not.
it is not. Holiday season's
I
right around the corner.
Yeah, I told you I've done this bit before, because like we did it over on Good Game We Lost, but it's still a fun one to do. Always fun to talk about. So if you want to go first, I'll by all means. I don't mind
Yeah,
letting you have the floor here.
yeah. So like, I have a couple here, and like none of my memories, at least the ones I can remember, they're nothing like crazy. Like N64 kid opens up his box, it's like it's an N64, an N64. Like I don't have any memories crazy like that. But I'll start off with like a simple one as a Kingdom Hearts fan here. When Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix came out for the PS3 back in 2013, right? That came out in September. And I was like, yo, I'm getting this game. Like, I didn't necessarily have disposable income at the time, so I couldn't get it myself. But I was like, for Christmas this year, I don't care about anything else except this one game. As long as I have this, I'm fine. So I think I had that and like a few other games on my list and whatnot. And like that morning, I went downstairs to where like my mom typically puts all the gifts and stuff. And I was like, where's Kingdom Hearts? And I saw it and I was like, thank you. Let me see everything else here. All right, cool. I'm done going upstairs. And I was like, I'm playing Kingdom Hearts again because I hadn't played the first one in a while at that point. Like I wasn't really playing my PS2 anymore since I had my PS3 since 2009. So I had to play Kingdom Hearts in a while. It's like, yo, this is awesome. It's better visuals. It's back. I can play it again. Even if it is only one game I actually like here on Chain of Memories, which I don't like at all. I don't care. I get to play Kingdom Hearts again. And it was so nice. It was like I turned back as like a 6 or 7 year old. I was like, thank you. That's the only thing I care about. I don't care about any other gifts. I got this. It's the only one that mattered to me. As long as I got this, I was fine.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think some people do have like holidays, Christmas specifically, as like a reference moment for getting consoles, but other people have not. They just get them during birthdays or whatever at different times. So have you received any consoles for Christmas?
I have in 2009 got my PS3 for Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah, and because I knew before I wanted it before that, but like it was too expensive before that, And that was the year where they dropped the price down to, like, the Slim had come out and the price was down to $400, I think. 400, 300, something like that. So I was like, all right, now that's reasonable as opposed to like the 600 beforehand. So I got that. And then my mom also got me the God of War collection. So I had 1 and 2 on it. And then
Nice.
I borrowed Uncharted 1 from my cousin because he had that. So those were like the first 3 games that I had played on the PS3. And like my cousin had a PS3 for a couple of years, so I'd already been experienced with it and everything like that. But that was my first time having it, and that was also the first time with the God of War games, the first time I ever owned a rated M game.
Nice. Man, what was my first rated M game? It might have been God of War 3, I think, but I think I had to wait till I turned 17 because when I bought my PS3, I was 16 and I couldn't get it, and I was just like, damn. So I had to get Little Big Planet, and I was just like not feeling it. But so I've gotten 2 consoles for Christmas. The first was the N64, and yeah, it was sick. I definitely didn't have, like, I didn't go crazy like that kid, but I remember we were visiting Arizona, ironically enough, from Texas. And so I got my 64, but my parents could not afford a game at the time. So we went to Blockbuster, which somehow was open on Christmas.
Yeah.
They did not have a single game in stock other than NASCAR 64.
Wow.
So I played some NASCAR 64. It sucked. I was bored, and we just kind of like moved on and did other things. And like, man, I think Banjo-Kazooie was the first game I bought, but I definitively remember like my dad had a friend who his kids had a ton of video games, so he could like borrow them every once in a while. And he brought, he's like, hey, check this out. And it was Ocarina of Time. And that was the first 64 game where I was like, let's go.
Nice.
But yeah, that's always my N64 story. Is like I had nothing to play other than NASCAR 64. But
what was the other
I did get a holographic Charizard for Christmas that year.
Ooh.
Like completely accidentally. Yeah, first edition. And it wasn't like, oh, they bought it. My mom had gone, and like when she went to get me Pokemon cards, the guy would like taught her the trick to like feel for holographics for the packs. Like if it slips, it doesn't. If it sticks together, there's no hollows in it. So she just got me like 5 packs or whatever, and one of them just happened to have a Charizard.
Wow, lucky you.
Yeah.
You got that thing still saved up somewhere?
God, no. Man,
oh
shit,
man,
I wish. You have no idea. I wish I had not.
So much money if you still had that around.
I know. I'm well aware. I got rid of my Pokemon cards when I became ashamed of it at like 13 or something. I don't know. And then the other one I got. Yeah. So the other one I got was a 360.
Nice.
Which my parents were able to get me a little bit because like I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to afford it, but I was kind of pissed because they were like, hey, if you can pitch in a little bit. I'm like 13, I think at the time, maybe 14. And they're like, if you can pitch in a little bit, we can get you this 360. I was 13, yeah, because I wasn't in high school yet. And I was like, okay. So I sold my PS2 and my games, which weren't worth a ton at the time. And I was able to get them like, I didn't have a ton of games, but it was like $70 or something like that. And they were just like, oh yeah, we're not gonna be able to get you the 360. And so I'm like mad. I'm like, what? Fuck? Like this is bullshit.
What do you mean?
I'm like, I wouldn't have sold my PS2, man. Like
now
I wasn't really playing anything at the time. Nothing was coming out. And then they got me. Yeah, I had a 360 under the tree for Christmas. Also, because I mean they're broke, you know, like that was it. The games I had for that were Sneak King and the kart racer, pocket bike racer. But
the kart racer was a fun one. I liked the
the pocket bike racer was fun. Yeah, so I remember that. I got a couple cheap Xbox game, regular Xbox. That's how I played Halo 2 for the first time.
Nice.
And then I got to experience and be a part of like Halo 3 coming out was nuts. So yeah, good times, good memories. But yeah, those are my 2. And it's funny enough because like I'm a primary PlayStation, console gamer now. But like I don't have any Christmas memories really associated with those consoles. PS2 got in the summer, PS3 also in the summer. PS4 in the summer. Holy shit. The only game system I had gotten near the winter was the 5, which I got shortly after Christmas, sandwiched between the year it came out, 2020, sandwiched between Christmas and New Year's, like the 28th or 29th. There was a Target drop at like, 4:30 in the morning that I was able to get, and I was excited for that. But yeah, no Christmases where I got any PlayStation consoles, just Xbox, which don't have a ton of history with, but I do love the 360. and then the 64.
Yeah, I also got the Wii for Christmas that year that came out. My dad got me
Nice,
that.
nice.
I don't remember any memories about it, but I just remembered, oh yeah, I did get that year. And then 2013, no, 2014, I got the well, I don't know why I wrote 2015 here, but that's not true. 2014, I got my PS4 for Christmas. And you know it's crazy because like that year I was like, I'm getting a PS4 for Christmas this year. I was like, that's happening. Like that was the one thing I wanted. So before I was because I was so adamant about it, prior to Christmas, like the Black Friday season and all, I was like, I'm gonna buy myself a second controller, and I bought myself Watch Dogs and some other game for the PS4 to have. So Watch Dogs and Infamous Second Son. I bought those two games for myself for the PS4. That way, when I had it for Christmas, I would have two controllers to swap between and at least two games for sure. And then for Christmas, I had gotten Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Destiny, and The Division for Christmas that year. Those are like what my mom gifted me, or my mom and my stepdad. So I was like, I was set with games for like a bit. Like as soon as I got my PS4, I was like, all right, we're good to go. Let's go. Let's get it. And I was like, that is the best strategy. If you know you're going to get stuff before it comes out, before you have it. That way you're just all set, ready to go.
I don't think I've ever. The more I think about it, it's depressing. I don't know if I've ever really had a bunch like games to play when I got a console. The only real cheat is the PS5 because it was backwards compatible with 4, which I had some money, so I bought Demon Souls, but it was like we talked about it pre-show. Demon Souls not my thing of the Souls series. So yeah, just interesting to think about that. Like never really. Oh no, Switch, Breath of the Wild, baby.
Ah,
Bought that launch night. The only console I've ever gotten launch day.
well,
But
wasn't that a
again,
February launch? That was like February,
March.
March. Ah,
It's like
gotcha.
March 5th, 4th or
Yeah.
5th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it when it launched. Like I remember watching the Easy Allies stream
Reaction
where like they
stream.
were reacting to when like I remember their little demo for the Switch controller and like the ice cubes and all that. And I was like, it's all lame. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know how many more opportunities I'm gonna have to get a game at launch. And I had money at the time. So I
Yeah.
pre-ordered it the second it went live at Best Buy, got the neon one because I did not want the plain black. And
Yeah.
then when I got there, I was like, man, I really hope they have copies of Breath of the Wild because I hadn't pre-ordered one, but they did.
Ah.
I got lucky. Well, I mean, I was like, they have to, right? It's the only game for the system that that any reasonable person's buying. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then now it's my goat. So it's a fun experience, but not related to Christmas. But I think console memories are super special in general. Like so, and I
Right.
think and then like I said, so many people have like console centric memories around Christmas specifically.
Yeah.
Usually when parents splurge.
Yeah. I don't have any other console ones, but I have two other gaming ones I just want to share real quick. One of them was actually this past year. Well, last year, I should say, 2021. My girlfriend, she actually got me a game for Christmas. And normally she doesn't get me games because she knows that like there's so many games I want to play, and I typically buy the games I want myself. But she like was just like, look, she was like, I want to get him a game. So then she was like looking around and she actually got me Crease Tales for Christmas last year. And I was like,
Oh, nice.
that's dope. Like, cause like it was a game I wanted to play, but it's like never got around to, especially also because like, I saw the review scores. And I was like, okay, I don't need to play it, but I like the art style. And did I finish it? No. Part of the reason why when I would play it, I would start falling asleep. I don't know if that was an indictment on the game or just the poor time I was playing it at. I haven't gotten back to it, but like it was still special to me. It's like, oh wow, like you like did research, you saw this was a game that you thought I might like, the game I might be interested in, which it was, and got it for me. I was just like, that's nice, that's awesome. So I still have it here. I'm never like, I don't like to sell my games now, but like if I ever did, I would never sell that one just because of like that
Makes
aspect of it.
sense.
And then
Yeah. Oh, good.
I was gonna say the only other memory I have, it's not even a gift. It was when I was younger, for the holidays, we would kind of go to my aunt's house, who's nearby me. We would go over there, and like my mom and like all my mom, my aunt, all their friends and stuff would be over there, like Christmas night or the day after and everything. It's like, having dinner, having a good time and stuff. And me and my cousin, and whenever other kids were there, we'd be like in a room playing games and stuff. And we were in my cousin's room and playing Kingdom Hearts 2, right? And I had beat Sephiroth on my PS2, but he had never beat him. So he asked me to do it. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll try. And I was trying and trying and trying. And I got real close one time. But as I'm playing, all of a sudden, you'll never believe this. All of a sudden, a Hulk hand flies across the room in front of the TV. And I was just like, what? Because they were playing on the other side of the room with Hulk hands. And one of the kids, he was a bit like rowdy and extra and stuff like that. So I don't know how or why, but the Hulk hand, he had the Hulk hand on and it ended up flying across the room, like flying right in front of the TV. And I was just like, what just happened? And after that, I could not beat Sephiroth. I was going to beat him that time. But because that happened, it took me out my rhythm and my mojo. And I was just like, I'm sorry, Dante, it can't happen right now. It's just not, that was the closest I got. It's not going to happen. Just a funny one.
It's funny. I don't have a lot of like gaming, like memory specific. Like weirdly enough, my parents, whenever they did consoles, cool. Man, they really dropped the ball when it came to just like getting me games I wanted for Christmas. Other than that, like I remember one year they were like, it was my 360 I had, and the year after, and they were just like, hey, like we're here at GameStop, like looking at some games. Would you like this? Yes. I literally listed like 5 different games that'd be acceptable and cool. And they went and got me Guitar Hero, which was just not my thing. And I played it and I learned some songs and it was fine. But it was just like I wasn't, when I got it, it wasn't like being ungrateful. It was more just like, all right, guys, I guess like this is not what I was expecting. What we're doing. And I was just in there like, this is fine. I guess I understand the appeal, but it's just not my thing. I'm just not like I want to play an instrument person. I did learn, that's how I ended up liking My Chemical Romance though, because that had Dead on it. Just a banger of a song. And so I guess, yeah, thanks for that. But like, yeah, it was never, I don't have any, like, I got this game and just binged it really. It was just like all console related. And even as an adult, like I don't really go out of my way to buy myself a ton of games because usually you got to buy gifts for other people. And like my girlfriend, she's gotten me games for like our anniversary or my birthday, but nothing a ton Christmas related again, because it's just like we're buying for everyone else. That's a little, but last year she bought me Yakuza Like a Dragon and like Skyward Sword. So that was cool. Nice. But yeah, like I said, consoles are always the ones that like become core memories to me, I think.
Yeah. I don't have any others. You got any final ones over here or?
No, that's it. It just, if you want to imprint on a kid forever, as far as like your kid, what their memories are going to be, just buy them, you know, for some reason, come up with a reason you can't get it for their birthday, get it for their console or get the console for Christmas.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, oh my God, it's here. You did it.
It's so much. I've had a birthday one and I've had the Christmas one. The Christmas one's so much cool.
Yeah, I never had a birthday one. Like my birthday's a month after Christmas, like January 24th. So
so
whatever I get for Christmas,
right.
Yeah. Like whatever I don't get for Christmas, I know I typically end up getting for my birthday. But like the consoles, whatever it was like a Christmas console type thing, that was always a Christmas when it happened. The games any other games and stuff would be like afterwards. Any other
I got the two as a birthday present.
Nice.
Not as cool as either of the Christmas memories. So
we'll just leave that right there.
Yeah.
All right. That was fun. It was fun reminiscing on these holiday gaming memories and stuff. And I look forward to making more in the future and should be able to just add that to the list. Okay, here we go.
Sure.
All right. So that's it for our holiday gaming memories. That's it for news. We are going to kind of briefly talk about what we've been playing this week. Tyler, I want you to go first because you said you don't have too much to say about what you've been playing.
Yeah, I'll keep it a little brief because I'll talk about it more probably when we come back from our holiday break for Cody's. But I am playing, not that this is Cody worthy, but I am playing High on Life. I just wanted to briefly mention, like I talked about Callisto Protocol. Haven't played any more of it because it's kind of like a busy week, but I'm enjoying High on Life. I was not enjoying Callisto Protocol, so maybe I'll grind through Callisto Protocol during this Goaty break, but also I want to go back and I want to play more Elden Ring. And there's like other stuff that I'll probably actually enjoy. And I did enjoy Elden Ring of what I've played. So it's like, will I make time for a game I was not having a good time with? I don't know. Right. But High on Life is solid. And I was kind of telling you pre-show, we don't get a ton of funny games. It's just not an emotion games try to elicit as a core theme. Now, there's obviously throwaway jokes and everything, and even some of the most serious games, but like games that are intentional comedies are rare. Yeah. And while High on Life is certainly not the funniest game I've ever played, shout out to I
South
can't believe
Park?
I just no West of Loathing.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Fantastic game. You can play it on Switch or on PC. Um, that's made me like literally just in tears laughing. And that's all about writing and ultimately comedy. Good writing, good delivery, and this one is I think kind of like a little mediocre at both. And I'm not a Rick and Morty hater. Like Royland's and that writing style and that like delivery can be very funny at times. Although the shtick wears thin if it's just like hitting you over the head constantly.
Yeah.
Game is not super egregious with it, but it's also and like there are some funny line deliveries and there are other voices than just Royland. It's not just him. And you enjoy when there's good jokes delivered by the other ones, especially. It's nice because it's not just the same thing, but it is still a lot of Royland. And to clarify, I'm about 3.5 hours deep, and I am enjoying it. It is very much, it feels like you're there for, I think the visuals are nice. I think you're there for the world merged with the comedy. Because, like, of course, you're there for the comedy and the writing, but you
Yeah.
also, like, it's interesting being, like, because that's kind of realistically what they're going for and what a lot of fans want is they want that, like, I'm sure a lot of Rick and Morty fans want that immersive world. They want that, like, crazy space zaniness to be merged and to be more interactive than just the jokes themselves.
Yeah.
And it's, like, kind of a mixed bag, but I've seen a lot of negative things about the combat specifically. I don't feel vehement, like maybe it's because I'm fresh off playing Callisto Protocol, a game where I was like, this combat to me sucks. This combat, while not aggressively good, not like, oh, it's so amazing. It
It's
is lacking
fine.
a tight, yeah, it is lacking a tightness. I was telling you, like, it's definitely no Destiny, it's no Doom, it doesn't have that snappiness, but it's not awful. It feels like a floaty shooter.
Yeah.
Like, but it still feels competent. I don't feel like it's so difficult that like I'm just like slamming a controller or whatever. It just at times can feel like, man, they put too many enemies in one spot because like
Mm.
because they're clearly going for that. The game opens with an homage to Doom, which is to me one of the funnier bits in the game. But
Yeah.
instead, it's like your divorce lawyer is calling you or whatever, and he's just like, it's absurd. But that's how the game opens, and so you play like a classic Doom like shooter. Irony is that kind of controls a little better than the base game. But so it's like to me it's wearing its influences on its sleeve, and it like in level design it feels like that, right? Like it's got kind of like a variety of like what's a how do you I can't express how you like a variety of heights. It's like it got like different
Oh,
levels
verticality and
across.
all.
Yeah, it's like got a different verticality kind of like spreading across like an area that's clearly meant to, you're supposed to weave throughout all of Doom. And especially like the more recent one, I know that's like a big part is they kind of want you to flow around the map and like deal with those enemies, just like kind of there's a ton but you don't let them all hit you at once. You kind of flow and consistently are just fighting with someone at all times.
Yeah.
And this is that, but less tough and like so far, at least less weapons at your disposal. So there's like a less imagination. It just kind of gets repetitive in certain spots. Not that it's hard, but it's just like, okay, well, I'm waiting for this to recharge. So I guess just let me shoot like with the standard gun, a bunch of enemies in a row for like 3 minutes here. And so I can get a little just like, oh, this is a little boring for the next 3 minutes. But again, not bad. Not like I hate doing this. I'm still doing it. Still having a perfectly fun time. Like when you get a headshot, there are moments where it like that responsiveness and that snappiness does feel good. I would almost say the biggest crime, like the knife, he's like a funny bit and everything that he's like crazy and just way too into killing people.
Yeah.
But that probably feels the worst. It's like stabbing people. It just feels so lifeless, like mid combat. There's no real tactile feedback to that. So like that feels less forgivable than the floatiness of the gun because, the further like you're not, at least so far, it's not a shotgun. So I don't expect that like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's okay that it's zapping away and it feels a little drifty. Like that isn't as big of an issue for me. It's like, man, when I'm getting up close and I'm just like, you kind of want that, like that hit feeling, and to feel like, oh, I did something. And it's not that the characters don't react or don't die. It's just, yeah, it's hard to explain how that feeling of a game when it's like, it feels instantaneous, it feels responsive, and it feels good. So that's missing a little bit, but not bad. Everything so far solid. Like if I had to score it now, I'd give it like a 7 probably. Feels fair.
Yeah.
And truly some wild parts in it, like at the beginnings. Like the beginning's wild between that divorce lawyer bit and then like you choose your character in like a like on a little cocaine plate.
Oh my
Your
God.
sister's just like, oh, what? You're not gonna do something or whatever. So you like look over and like you pick your character, the one of the templates like in there. It's just like, all right, so this is how this game's starting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is what I can expect for the next however many hours.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it doesn't hit those levels of wild so far for me. But what everyone's obviously wanting to know is just how horny is the game
Oh,
on the established scale. I'll give a full report when I beat it. Not as horny as you'd think. Like given that it is, Roiland and the Rick and Morty creators, but also because like I think South Park being about teenage boys, that's more in its DNA than Rick and Morty is on some levels. But I just coming off the Callisto Protocol, which I established as the unhorniest game ever. I think we're gonna give this one a 5.
Okay. All right.
Give this one a 5 out of 10.
The middle of the road. Right
Feels
there.
right. Feels right. Yeah.
It seems like based off everything you said about the game, that like the comedy is cool, it's good, might be mileage may vary on it. But it seems like you come for the comedy and everything else is like just good enough to, keep the ride entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. I might play it. I want to play it. I see if I can find the time to do so. During this upcoming break that we're going to have during the holidays and everything, like you said, between playing other games that I might be go-to contenders to other things I get for the holidays to fixing my Ragnarok review. Time is limited, so
yeah,
we'll see how it works out. But awesome. Thank you for telling us about High on Life. Seems like it,
for sure,
good game,
for sure, full
good game.
Like I just figured because I was like, if I wait, the thoughts may not be as fresh, so I'll just kind of like wrap up like, hey, is it still be a 7 whenever we talk about our Cody stuff? So it'll be a brief mention. It's definitely, I imagine, will not go to that territory, but I was like, do I wait and give a half-assed one there? It's like instead I'll just split it and do like a little 5-6 on each one, on each pod essentially.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, this week I didn't play any full games. I played 2 demos though this week. The first of which was Forspoken. And here's what I can say about Forspoken. As of right now, after playing the demo, which the footage that's here, this is after I had already played the demo the first time. Like there's a lot of stuff in the demo, so you can actually spend quite a long time in this demo in this one region here. So this was after I had got my SD card and it works now, so I was able to record gameplay and everything. So just going around the world, I played for about maybe 30 minutes here in total, just broken up into like this long, this shorter video. So what I can say is Forspoken so far is good, not great though. It's if you were expecting a 9, don't expect a 9. I'm expecting this game to end up falling more in the 7 range, with an 8 being the highest, maybe 8.5. I don't see this getting a 9 at all. Reason being, it's the world. Again, this is just one small section of the world, so it's just this one region. We don't get to see like desert regions or anything like that. There's just this one more like plains/field, like grassy plains and fields type region at all like that, which is again quite expansive to say the least. But like this region, it's not all that like great looking. Like it looks fine, it looks good, but it's not like whoa.
Yeah, I had to pull it up. I'm watching it now. Yeah.
And I mean, like, that's not to say that a game needs to be stunning or anything, but like visually in terms of environments, it's like, okay, it looks fine. It doesn't not blowing me away. The combat is fun and there is depth there, but like it's really, in my opinion at least, it's the demo didn't really explain everything all that well. It's kind of like explains the basics and then kind of expects you to figure it out from there, which isn't necessarily a problem, but just the way you do combat, it's a bit clunky and not the most intuitive. Like it takes a while to get used to it. And even after playing the demo initially for a good like 3 or so hours. Like by the end of it, I was better, but I still didn't feel like, all right, this feels like great to do. I can't speak on the story because there was no story information in this demo. It was just like, hey, you're in this region. There's a bunch of things for you to go see and fight and do and stuff, so you could do those things. In terms of banter, I know one criticism that people have had, one worry is like that dialogue between like Frey and the Cuff and how it's written and how chatty they are. And I mean, I personally don't have a problem with their writing. I think the writing is fine. Yeah, not great, just fine. But they are quite chatty, like chatted back and forth with one another. So if you're not really a fan of characters, kind of frequently, sorry, a cough came up as I was about to say that word. If you're not a fan of characters frequently trading jabs with each other back and forth, then you might not really be a fan of it here. I think there's a setting to like decrease that, the amount that they talk with each other. So like that's like a real top level broad overview of everything in the game. I think the like I said, the one area where the game really excels is the combat. And I'm not sure where you are in the video, but like in the demo, we have two sets of powers. So you have like Frey's her base magic, which is kind of like essentially using rocks for her spells and all. And then you have your fire magic and all, which is way more aggressive. You're getting up in people's faces, swinging your fire sword to do your fire punches and stuff like that. And those are your like assault type attacks. For each magic, there are also support spells you can do as well, which it might give you like like an extra shield for a bit from your Cuff, or with the fire powers, it might allow you to like put up a ring of fire around you so that anyone coming into the area, like they get hurt by the fire, or summoning 2 fire soldiers to work with you and like fight enemies on their own and all like that. There's another support spell from Frey's own set of magic where like she throws out like a tendril whip that like hits any surrounding enemies and gives her back health. So there's a lot of different spells you can use and all, but the way in which you swap between them is if you hold R1, that brings up your assault magic, right? If you hold L1, that brings up your support magic, and you choose the one you want to use by using the right analog stick. R2 is how you use your assault spells. L2 is how you use your support spells, right? And it's like it gets the job done, but when you're trying to switch between Frey's spells and the fire spells, you have to hold L1 and R1, use analog stick to switch to the other, and then switch between the spells, which when it's your first time playing and you're just trying to get used to it, it's really cumbersome. It's not that fluid. It's not that intuitive. And the more I played, the better I got at it. But even after playing the demo for like 3-4 hours or so, yes, I got better, but it still felt cumbersome. It still felt like I was kind of bending over backwards to make it work. And I wasn't able to be as fluid as I wanted to be by using my magic. But the potential is there. Like I see their vision of what they're trying to go for. And I think your mileage may vary in terms of how well you adapt to it. And the more you play, the more you get used to it. I think you'll be able to like switch on the fly between a bunch of different spells. It'll be really cool and stuff. Of course, combat means enemies, and the enemies here, there is like a variety of some regular like type gremlin type enemies. You have like your bigger berserker type guys, birds, like the wildlife in the world, they're enemies as well, other soldiers and stuff. And they each have their own resistances or vulnerabilities and everything. Where I think the combat again kind of falters here is when it comes to trying to fight multiple enemies, it can be a bit of a pain because like there is a lock-on system, but if you're aiming and the lock-on is pressing R3, right? So if you're already aiming and you press R3, it doesn't lock onto anyone. It actually just centers the camera. In order to lock onto enemies, you have to press R3 first before you aim, and then it locks on to like whatever enemy is closest to you. And once you're locked on, you can switch between people by using the right stick to, go back and forth and stuff. But like it led to so many instances of me like trying to aim at a target, but like actually not aiming at a target at all. Like I feel like that system needs to be worked. You need to be able to lock onto an enemy while you're aiming. I shouldn't have to lock on before I aim at a target. Like that's counterintuitive. But I mean, the enemies themselves are fine. Some of them are strong, some of them are weak and easy to take out. Then like they're spread across the region here that you have and all. And in combat, you have like your parkour, which is when you hold circle, you see like Frey get like the gold around her feet and everything, and that's like how she's running and jumping and bouncing around and stuff like that. So like that adds a level of flair to combat to make it look cool and exciting, and it is cool and exciting um, in combat and when exploring the open world. The only time it's really not that great is when you're trying to like climb up a mountain or like climb up a cliff, because then it's like you can run up, and then if you press circle at certain points after you reach a certain height, it gives you like an extra boost or so, like an extra boost or two to get a bit higher. But still, it seemed like it's just not the most. It didn't seem like the most intuitive trying to like climb up things using just the parkour, like just the running parkour. You really have to bend over backwards to try and make, not bend over backwards, but really have to like put in effort to try and make something work. If it's like, hey, this isn't gonna work, but if you want to try, you could try. And like Freya has a spell where she can throw out a fire whip that like latches onto something. And if that you do that by just pressing square, if you just press it, she just like pulls out a whip at whatever's in front of her and like goes towards it, whether it be an enemy, environment, what have you. But when you hold square, you're actually able to aim at what you want to like latch onto. And like that's something that the game doesn't explain to you unless you go into your list of spells where you can like upgrade spells and stuff. And then when you see the spell there, it tells you, oh yeah, I can do that. But like had I not known that, I would have been like, how do I grapple on to these clear grapple points that are here in front of me? Um so yeah, like I walked away from the demo feeling optimistic, but also a bit like I like it's gonna be good. I think it'll be a good game. Like a lot of it's gonna come down to the story, because I think again, combat is has potential. It's fun, it has potential, it has depth, but it's a bit cumbersome. The world, or at least this region of the world, not the most impressive in terms of again like visuals or things to necessarily do. Like there might like, there's like a cave or so. There's like, oh hey, do this activity where you have to like hold this area and protect the villagers from waves of enemies. You have to do it like 5 minutes, and there's only 3 people here, and you're just kind of in between waves. You're kind of waiting. Like one time in between a wave, I waited like 30 seconds for more enemies to roll on in. I was like, is the game bugged? What's going on here?
That
Yeah,
demo, that demo jank.
right. And so like that was there. I mean, there's also real quick, Freya has her cloak and her nails that like you could upgrade and alter to like give her different buffs. So like, oh, do you want to have stronger red magic? Do you want to have stronger purple magic? Do you want to get health from certain attacks, or so on and so forth? Like there's that. There is a leveling system and all. You use mana that you collect to upgrade your spells and like unlock new ones and all like that. Like there is definitely potential here. Again, it's just you're either gonna like this game or you're not. I think that's really what it's gonna come down to. Like the super Forspoken hype is gone for sure. It's not gonna be a 9, maybe an 8. I'm thinking most likely 7s though.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I like obviously I haven't played the demo, so I can't comment too much. It looks like the combat looks like it could be serviceable, bordering on interesting, but I don't think the game will necessarily be for me. I'm really torn on if I'll play it. I think it comes out in January, right?
Yes, 24th, my birthday.
It comes out during, oh, well, future happy birthday. But yeah, it really depends. I forget if there's a ton coming out around it. I may play it just because it's like the only thing, but then also will I be catching up on last year's stuff? I don't know. It's not a game that I think in any level will speak to me, and definitely seems destined to be just like a video game trivia question 10 years from now. Like, hey, remember Forspoken?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it does give me like launch window vibes. And yet here
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Like, hey, this is kind of the first game that we wanted to make a sequel for, but didn't sell well enough. But the sequel was going to have like a more varied areas or whatever, because like I'm sure there'll be other areas, but I just get the feeling like they're all going to feel just like this.
Yeah, in terms of like what's in them and all, like I worry
like,
that that's gonna be the case. I worry that that's gonna be the case. You know,
it
we gotta
feels
wait
like
and
Sonic
see.
Frontiers, man. Like when you boil it down.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. But yeah, I mean, if you're excited for the game, you know, stay excited. You know, even after
Yeah,
playing
I'm
the
not
demo,
trying to
if you
kill anyone's
are,
hype.
yeah,
Nothing
still
wrong with
stay
being excited
excited.
for something.
I don't think the game will be bad. I just think it's gonna be
Yeah, like I
good,
said,
good at best.
it's gonna be I feels like a 6 out of 7, or 6 or 7 out of 10 special. Like just that's and I think some people will interpret that as like bad scores, but like again, it's on a scale of 10. Like there are worse things for sure. It's gonna be like barely above the median, I think. But I mean, prove me wrong, Forspoken. By all means, be an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. So those are my thoughts on Forspoken. Cool, cool so far. We got to see what actually happens when the full game comes out. The only other game I played this week was Thirsty Suitors, which is this indie game, which I forgot where we first saw it, but you play as, I believe she's South Asian. I believe she's South Asian. Don't quote me on this though. This girl, she comes back to her hometown, and she has to essentially Scott Pilgrim with her exes as she comes back to her town and all like that. You can't pet a dog, as you can see if you're looking right now.
I'm pulling it up. I'm
Gotcha.
not petting it just yet, but
But so yeah, here's what I felt like when I played it last night. Well, the demo starts off, and you're kind of like doing this mind type thing where it's like, oh hey, what type of relationship person are you and all? Like what kind of like your traits in relationship and everything. And you end up with like there are three different stats or categories. And as you level up in the game, you get like points to put into them that give you, more health, more defense. It varies based on where you like sink your points into and all like that. So the story seems fine, but the combat, it's a turn-based battle system that they have here. And it's interesting, but I feel like the demo here, it did its job in showing what the combat and fights are like, but I feel like it could also turn people off from the game as well, because when you're in the fights with your exes, I mean, again, this was a tutorial type of fight, teaching you the ropes of the game. So like,
yeah,
it's constantly like after you do a move, it's telling you, okay, this is what's next, so on and so forth. But like even aside from that, like after each move that you and your opponent do, you all do like the characters will like goes like have a back and forth talk with one another, like just banter, and like you have input on what you say and everything. But it just felt like the flow of the fight was constantly getting broken up by this conversation they were having. And again, tutorial, it could be different and farther in the game. The characters might banter less. The conversation just might be a bit more interesting and all like that. But
yeah,
the whole time I was doing this fight, like I'm not joking, this fight took like 20 minutes to get through because it was the constant we're back and forth talking. And then also here, let's teach you how to do this. So like those things compounded on one another made the fight just feel like so dragged out in a sense. And that's not to say I didn't have fun with it. I did. Like your basic attack, it hurts your enemies and it increases your willpower. And you use your willpower is essentially mana points in a regular like fantasy RPG. And you use that to use other more powerful skills, such as like a thirsty taunt you can do, which you do a thirsty taunt and it makes your ex thirsty for you, in which certain skills might do more damage while the enemy is thirsty. Or like you have a rage taunt you can do, which makes them angered, and then you have another move that will do more damage when they're angered. You have summons of some sort, like in the demo, the character you have to summon your mom to fight against the she doesn't move against your ex here. The character's like, the only thing worse than a South Asian guy's mom is my mom. She just like summons her mom, and her mom pulls off her slipper, and he's like, no, not that, and just like whacks him with it and stuff. Like it is definitely a funny game. I like the style, I like the presentation of everything. Like there is flair to it. It is funny and all. But I feel like this demo might, I can see it turning people off from the game a bit. If they're like, is all the fights going to be like this? Just this constant like interrupting the flow of the fight. And I mean, it's all in service of the characters and like, okay, them either coming back together, like making like a friendship after the fight, or being enemies with each other or whatnot. But it was a bit much in this demo, just like how much interrupting there was of the fight. I was just like, I just want to do this fight. Like I don't mind you guys talking, but maybe we can like do it back and forth less, like maybe not after every turn or every two turns, maybe something. But yeah, it was a
Yeah, that could
tutorial
just be the
fight.
case of a
So
demo as well. Who knows?
yeah, like this is clearly like very first fight of the game, like first 20 minutes of the actual game. This is when that's happened. So like it's clearly a tutorial thing. It could just be this fight specifically where this character wants to talk with you more. So I don't want to paint a broad stroke like this is the game as a whole. This is everything. Um, but yeah, it's fine. It's cool. It's fun. I think there's potential for a good story here too, especially just with Jala, the main character, and connecting with her exes on some level, way, shape, or form. Um, it's cool. And at the end of the demo is a funny, I mean, I think it's funny scene of like this guy you fight here, Sergio. He like gathers all her exes outside the diner, and he's like, "Hey, she's back, and like she's actually pretty cool." And one of the exes is like, "No, screw her. I don't want to have anything to do with her." It's like we gathered the council of evil exes here or something. It was fun. It was fun. I think there's potential
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing this game at Game Awards last year. It was actually on my list, and it looked cool. It made a better trailer than some of the gameplay looks like in real life. You know what I mean? It looks like there's definitely more jank to it, and it's like that could just be demo vibes. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. I like the concept. I love the diversity in the game, but it's also just, is it actually going to be fun to play? That's, I guess, to be determined
Yeah.
when it actually comes out.
Yeah, I think it could be. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, that's what I played. Those are my thoughts on those two games. And unless you have anything else to say, I think we're done here.
I think it's going to be all for me. Ended
All
up
right.
somehow being a long one.
It somehow ended up being a long one. The tangents, the fan cast. That's what happened. Oh man. All right. Thank you all so very much for watching and listening. Just a heads up. Here's how the next couple weeks are going to go. This is episode 87. This one is going live on what's today's date? The 17th. This is going live on December 19th. We are recording another bonus episode tomorrow, December 18th. That one will go live on the day after Christmas, December 26th. So after tomorrow, we're done recording for the year. There will still be one more podcast after we're done recording, and then there will be a week of a break. So there will not be any podcast episode that first week of January. Nothing's going to be there. We'll be back the Monday after the first week. So the second Monday of January, we will be back with our Game of the Year episode, chatting about our top 5 games of the year, any honorable mentions that we have, and so on and so forth. So look forward to an episode next week. The following week, it's a week off. Enjoy the holidays, and then we will be back in the new year. The first, I think it's January 9th, if I'm right, is how it works out. January 9th, we'll be back with our Game of the Year 2022 episode. That said, I'm very excited for it. It should be a fun one. I'm excited to play some games during this break. It's going to be a great time.
It'll be a good one.
Yeah. So all that said, head over to the site, playtowingames.wordpress.com, home for all the content. My written God of War Ragnarok review is there. My video review for God of War Ragnarok will be coming out at some point in the next 2 weeks. It's just a matter of when I'm able to finish fixing it and putting it together. It will be out in the next 2 weeks, though, for sure, unless something else comes up and I really can't fix it. Head over to this Play to Win on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game. Follow us there for updates on the show and all that fun stuff. Chat with us there. Subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell, and subscribe on podcast services, and leave the 5-star review. And let us know in the comment section your thoughts. Let us know if you think Forspoken is looking like it's going to be a great game, or if it disappointed you. Let us know how into High on Life you are, if you think it's really funny, or if you think it's just eh. And let us know, Thirsty Suitors, what your thoughts are on that. If you have played that demo, are you still looking forward to it? Did it turn you off a bit? Let us know all your thoughts on those topics. And also share some of your holiday gaming memories as well. Like, spread the holiday vibe, spread the holiday love. Get some of those stories down in the comment section. Of course, as I just said, comment, share, and 5-star review, all that stuff. Tyler, where can people find you?
Good Game We Lost on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. All 3, just Good Game We Lost. But I'm back to putting them on the reels, and they're doing all right. So I'll keep posting them.
Nice. Good for you.
There's been a lot of podcast clips as well, so I'm sure people will be familiar with some of the content.
Nice, awesome. Hope they're enjoying them. That said, you can follow me over on Twitter at TylerMiller2496. Where I talk about games I'm playing, anime I'm watching, movies I'm watching, so on and so forth. It's a fun time over there, so feel free to chat with me and follow me there. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you all have a good holiday, because the holidays are coming up after this episode. So I hope you all have a great holiday and enjoy. Thank you so very much. We'll talk with you all next week. Have a good one.
Happy holidays, everyone.